Ken, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing well, brother. It's good to see you.
Man, I'm telling you, I am so excited about doing a show this week. And I want to give people out there a little bit of a background, okay?
Do it.
So just to make things clear, you are a big, tall black man
That I am.
who had to listen to Gladys Knight your whole life because your parents were playing Gladys Knight, right?
Yep, every Saturday afternoon.
Okay. I am a Midwestern white boy, just an average Midwestern white boy from the Great Plains. I don't know. Yeah, the Great Plains.
Yep.
Cornfields. Okay. I did not grow up listening to Gladys Knight.
Same way I did not grow up listening to Black Sabbath. So, all right,
Okay,
even.
so fair. Now, a few weeks ago, we had agreed we were going to do Midnight Train to Georgia as a single, as a
Yes.
solo, right? We were going to
Yes.
talk about just that song. Well, I was listening to this album, Gladys Knight's Imagination album, and I called you and I said, Ken, we have to cover this whole album.
Yeah.
We can't just do one song.
Yep.
Right?
Straight up in the middle of the day.
And so the reason I started us off with that little story there is because people have these perceptions, right? They're going to see me and you, and they're going to say, oh, the black guy chose this album. No, it was me. Okay? I just wanted to make that abundantly clear. That was me who chose this Gladys Knight album
Noted.
because this was a revelation. And this is one of those moments, and I get those listening to music, where you just think, why wasn't I listening to this album my entire life?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I feel like I have been robbed of 45 years of this album.
Yes, I love that when you hear an album, you're like, oh my God, how did I live this long without listening to this album?
Right. And so when I called you, I said, Ken, this Gladys Knight album, the first half, because I'd only listened to the first half, I said, this is one of the greatest halves of rock and roll history. I said, this is an album we have to cover. 30 people might listen to this show, but those 30 people are going to go out and they're going to find something great about this album to
No
love.
doubt. Yeah. That is a fact. That's not even an
Right.
opinion, brother. That is a fact.
Now, let's give a little bit of background, okay? Because one of the things I discovered, preparing for this album, is that Gladys Knight and the Pips were one of the most prolific acts of the early 70s.
Yes.
So we're looking at, in the years of 1971, 73, 74, and 75, 11 albums in those 4 years.
You know, and the great thing about that period, because you're right, they were one of the most prolific acts of that era. And if you remember, and not so much of a tangent, but a tangent. So Prince, when he forfeited his name for that period of time in order so he could get it back, his push, because he grew up during that period, that early mid 70s, when acts such as Gladys Knight, James Brown, Aretha Franklin, and others were prolific in that era. And
Stevie Wonder.
Oh, yes. Can't forget that because that was his period. Tangent. But that was what Prince would reference when he was budding with the record company was, hey, why can't we get back to that era when we had prolific artists who were creating and just not necessarily saturating because they were putting out great stuff and they could not saturate the market, but when they were just sharing their creativity with the world in large droves.
Now, I didn't just listen to this album. I listened to all of those albums. I listened to every Gladys Knight album from 1967, 66, 67,
Yeah, yep.
all the way to 1978, I think. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I listened to about 20 Gladys Knight albums, man. And I'm here to tell the world, not that most of the world didn't already know, because even if they're not going to admit it, I'm going to say the greatest female singer in my lifetime. Simple as that. It's just I can't think of anyone who has a voice like her.
I can't even fight or deny, man.
Aretha's there. Aretha's great. But Gladys just touches my soul, man.
I think if Gladys were to name off other singers that she considers her contemporaries, we would just have to accept it, and we wouldn't contest it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I just love the sound of her voice. Everything about her voice makes me think that she is the greatest. And I can't get over that because it's a new feeling for me. It's like I did. Now, don't get me wrong. I've heard Gladys Knight's greatest hits for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay. But to hear these album tracks that we're going to discuss, and not just this album, but like all those albums from 1973, 74, 72, 71, like they're all good albums. Okay. Now, for those who don't know, Gladys Knight and the Pips, they were signed to Motown Records. Okay, had big hits. They did another hit of I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Marvin Gaye had the #1 hit.
Yep.
Gladys Knight's version went to #2.
Yeah, they sped it up just to slightly change. Yeah,
right,
and it worked.
And she had Neither One of Us Wants to Be the First to Say Goodbye, which was a great hit. But this is their first album on their new record label, Buddha. So the reason that they were so prolific at this time is that Motown was still releasing Gladys Knight product, and now Buddha has all this product to release as well.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, like, man, how can you release that many albums? Well, Motown was releasing songs that have been, a year, 2, 3 years old. So.
Yeah. I wonder, considering the era and the point in time, I wonder how much money, royalties, residuals,
Yeah.
that Gladys and the Pips were able to get off of the double dipping of the two, if you will.
I don't know. I guess it really depends how many songs they wrote, right?
Yeah, and that's just a random thought.
Yeah, I ain't worried about how much money they made, man. Gladys Knight's living large.
Well, yeah, right. Thankfully. I'm always worried or concerned about artists making money.
I know, but I don't think Gladys is one we got to worry about.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's start with the side one of this album, okay? And this was the song that I was prepping for.
Yes, this is what the catalyst, what started it all.
By far their most famous hit, by far the most iconic Gladys Knight song ever recorded, Midnight Train to Georgia.
Oh my goodness. I'm almost speechless. So, considering we went into this, preparing this song as a single.
Right.
Boom, we realized we need to do this album. Now, every album we've done up until now, at this point, we talk about your opener. How you have to open with a strong song. Sweet Georgia Brown, I will say right here, right now, this day. And you know what? I look forward to the day when we find another album that opens with a song that is stronger than Midnight Train to Georgia.
You can't.
This is the strongest opener of all time.
And what's crazy is it shouldn't have opened the album.
It
shouldn't have.
I feel you.
It's almost like, remember when we did the Pretenders, right?
Yeah.
They open with Middle of the Road. Then they go to Back on the Chain Gang, right? And that's okay, because Middle of the Road, hard rocker, drives, punch you in the face. But when you have Midnight Train to Georgia, for any voice less than Gladys, they're not going to be able to follow that.
True.
Okay, and this album, it tries to follow that throughout the entire first half. And they come close, but they don't quite make it. And it's almost like an impossible task.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing, because we know this song, this is etched, ingrained in our lives. I had to step back and take it in as a whole, as part of the album, and say to myself, okay, when they did this song, when they produced and performed and recorded this song, they had no idea that this song was going to have such an impact.
Right. Well, they were just recording so many songs.
Yeah, exactly. To them, they're just putting together an album.
Now, you told me this story, and I'm going to let you tell the people out there, but you told me the story of how this song was written. I didn't believe you. I had to look it up for myself. So tell everybody how the song came to pass.
Oh, so, yeah, I'd read this a couple of years ago because that's what I do. We go down rabbit holes here. And the songwriter, Jim Weatherly, he wrote this, and it was called something like The Midnight Plane to Houston. Anyway, he was a friend with Lee Majors. Lee Majors, Farrah Fawcett at the time, blah, blah, blah.
Well, slow down. Stop. Don't blah, blah, blah the people. Lee Majors was the fall guy.
Or back then, the $6 Million Man.
$6 Million Man.
And before that was Big Valley. Big Valley.
Okay, so when this song was written, it was Big Valley. But he was the $6 Million Man, Steve Austin, long before there was a Stone Cold.
Yep.
Then he was the fall guy, right?
Yep.
Okay, and Farrah Fawcett was the hottest woman on planet Earth in the 70s.
Yes, she was.
And she was famous first as a model, right?
Yep.
And then became famous as one of Charlie's Angels.
Yep, which all three of them are from Texas. Yeah, and so the long distance thing between the two of them and Weatherly being a friend.
He was a friend of Lee Majors, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so he wrote this. He was inspired by the relationship between Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett. Okay, yeah, man, you went blah, blah, blah. You were just going to fast forward this story. No, I guarantee you, if I had never heard that story before, nobody listening to this show had heard that story. Do not deny the people, man. Come on.
All right. Thanks for calling me out like that, brother. I appreciate it.
I'm
Keeping me straight. Keep me straight.
Now, hey, but let's talk about this guy, Jim Weatherly. He wrote 5 of the 9 songs on this album, man.
Yeah, thank goodness.
I almost feel like
he should have wrote all 9.
But yeah, he should have written all 9. But not just that, he should have kept being Gladys Knight's kind of writer. You know what I mean?
Like
they should have had like a long time collaboration, kind of like Elton John and Bernie Taupin, something like that, where you just have that.
Born in Ellington. Yeah,
you just have that long collaboration, but it didn't happen. It just did.
Yeah,
but it's okay. I'm not mad at them because they gave us a great album, but for this song right here, when we get into the music, right? Because I'm always captivated by Gladys's voice, so I'm not really focused on the instruments. I'm just focused on her voice, and the pips with the woo woo, like I'm just focused on that. I'm not really focused on sound. Then I kept listening and I was like, oh my God, even the musicians are killing it, because you have that little piano, that's going on right there that makes the song, I want to say, like poignant, right? It just adds that soft touch that kind of pulls at your heartstrings.
Oh yeah.
Incidentally, you have a string section, right? Okay. And then you have that funky horn section and a killer bass groove. Now, this crazy thing, when looking, researching this album, I couldn't find the musicians for the album.
Yeah, I have no idea who the session band were.
And so we're usually, when we do these albums, we talk about the musicians and what they mean to rock and roll, whatever.
Yeah.
We're really just focused on the sound of the songs and the meaning of the songs for this show. So I just wanted to put that out there. But no matter what sounds are going on in the background, Gladys Knight is never outshined.
This is true. And they knew that back then, because you had producers and the musicians. They were smart enough and knew enough to realize that, hey, we're here to make a song. We're not here to be ourselves. They knew whose name was on the marquee, and they played to that person to make that person shine, or that group, if you will.
I wish they would have learned that lesson for the entire album, which we're going to talk about. Now, when I first heard this song, okay, I must have been, probably 12, 13 years old, somewhere around there. You remember in the 80s, they'd have those like Motown specials, like, where they welcome back
or whatever. Yeah.
But then you'd see the commercials, right? So I think like when they would welcome back the Motown artists, that's when I heard of Gladys Knight, because there were always jokes about the Pips, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But then there was just something where early on where this song grabs you. I mean, I'm a kid and I'm just like, ooh, that sounds nice. But when you're listening to Metallica and Black Sabbath, you can't admit you like Gladys Knight at that age, man.
Man, when I was a little boy, so I'd say, let's just say 5, maybe even 6.
Right.
And I heard the chorus and the line, I'd rather live in his world than be without him in mine. I was floored. Till this day, I'm
Stab
still
you
floored.
in the heart.
Yeah, and the crazy thing back then, as a little boy, I
didn't even know what it meant.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know my behind from a hole in the ground.
Right.
So when I heard that and floored by that line, and I'm still floored by it every time I hear the song, it grabbed me.
I agree with you, but it also makes it clear, even though Gladys is singing, this song was written by a man. Because there's no way that a woman is going to write that line. A woman's going to write, "I will survive."
Yeah.
This is the way it is.
And I love it at the end of the song. She's like, I got to go. I got to go.
One of my favorite parts, just the way that she lets loose at the end.
Inflection, that she has to be there, that it is going to happen.
Yeah. One of these days, I don't know when, I don't know with who, but I'm going to take that train to Georgia, man. I'm just going to, I'm going to, because I've been on bus rides, never want to do that again.
Yeah.
I just flew to Georgia. You know that.
Yep.
I'm not going to live this life without taking a midnight train to Georgia.
Noted.
All right.
Yeah.
Ken, we could talk about this song all night long.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no way you and I can do it justice. It's a classic. It's iconic. It's one of the best songs ever written.
Yes.
And it's more importantly, because we heard the original and we heard the Sissy Houston version,
Yes,
which is
yes.
where Gladys got her vocal inspiration. It's one of the best performed songs of all time.
Yes. Yes and yes.
Okay?
Skies blue, water's wet. These are facts.
Gladys made this a great song
Absolutely.
because we heard the original and it wasn't
No.
right. It wasn't that great.
And I love that she did that. Diamond in the rough.
That's why she's the greatest. So let's go to song number 2 on the album. And this, you could call it the title track, I've Got to Use My Imagination. Now, one of the authors of this song, since we were talking, this was not written by Jim Weatherly, was Jerry Goffin. Huge songwriter.
Yeah.
Goffin and King.
Yep.
They wrote tons of hits. Just a quick note about him. Wrote over 114 top 100 hits. We talk about just having one hit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He wrote over 114 Billboard hits,
Yeah.
8 of which went into number 1.
Because if I remember correct, Carole King. Correct. Yeah. So the two of them, they were pretty much locked away in a room with a piano and left to their own devices. And that's why they are songwriting titans of the 20th century.
Right. No, absolutely. And, with Carole King, he was introduced into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yep.
But he didn't write it with her. He wrote it with a keyboardist named
Oh.
Barry Goldberg. Okay?
Yeah. No, not, but I'm just saying, just to be able to hone his craft.
Right.
And, yeah.
And incidentally,
Impressive.
this song, I've Got to Use My Imagination, was one of his top 10 hits. It went to number 4. So on this album, this is the second top 10 hit on this album.
Yeah.
But Ken, I've been listening to oldies radio, classic radio, albums, Spotify, whatever, for years. I don't hear this on the radio.
Yeah.
And this is a top 5 hit.
And it was also, I'm going to go out on a limb here, this period of time, top 5 hit on the soul R&B.
Oh, absolutely.
That's-
Absolutely. But do you remember hearing the song like as a kid? Like I know I'm sure it got played,
Yeah.
but it's not something where you're like, oh no, I remember
Yeah,
this.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't pop my memory. I cannot recall Baby Ken shaking to this song.
Now we've said that, and it sounds like we're dismissing the song.
However, we are not.
The song
Yes.
has a groove, man.
Yes, and you can, as you mentioned, Gotham, because the one thing about this song, hey, you do not crank out that many number 1 hits without formula working for you.
Right.
And this song, straight up formula, and it works.
Well, it kicks off with like that bass line that goes throughout the whole
yeah.
song.
Oh yeah, that rhythm section makes this song.
Then you got that rhythm section. You have the horn section popping in.
Yep, little sweet break.
And I know you're a guitarist, and this is going to hurt your feelings, but what makes this song is that piano, man. That piano is just driving this song the
Yeah.
whole way through.
Yeah.
And that's really, I call it boogie woogie piano, right? But it's really just making a move. And you've said this on the show before, where when you're playing it, live, your goal is for someone to stand up and start dancing, right?
Oh yeah, and this
You
song
know.
accomplishes it.
It's funny because like I wish I'd seen Gladys Knight in concert, right? And I had the chance, man. Like when I was in Vegas about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I think 8 years ago, 8, 9 years. She was doing a residency at the hotel we were staying at in Vegas.
Yep.
I want to say it was the Tropicana Hotel. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And I, thought, okay, well, Gladys Knight, I like Midnight Train to Georgia. I've heard the greatest hits. I'm okay if I don't go. And now I'm kicking myself. Kicking myself. I wish I had seen Gladys live. Because when I hear this song, I'm thinking, man, this is a showstopper.
Oh, yeah.
This might not be the encore, but it's the song right before the encore.
Yep.
This is the one that's going to put people on their feet.
Yeah, have them clapping and
That's right. Cheering as she walks off the stage.
Yep.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And that's exactly the vibe that this song gave me. And, this song, what I love about it, because we talked about these instruments, even at the end, they throw some woodwinds in, man. It keeps building and building and building. So it's not just building in tempo but it's also building in the wall of sound that's being created.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, funny thing about this song too, not funny, it's just interesting song is Joe Cocker did a cover version of this. And like, I've heard Joe Cocker's version.
I could see that.
But I didn't put the two and two together until I went on Wikipedia and realized, oh, wait. Oh, it's the same song. We're gonna do Joe Cocker one day too, man. I don't know when or what song or what album, but we're gonna cover his
I could hear him doing
output.
this.
Okay, so anyway, lyrically, it's keep on keeping on, right?
Yeah.
That's honestly, there's nothing else that stands out lyrically about this except you gotta keep on keeping on.
Yeah, which is beautiful because that is definitely what I need to hear right now, what we need to hear right now.
Just got to keep on keeping on.
Yeah, that is a universal message. Never gets old.
Well, we're going to keep on keeping on by going to song number 3.
Yeah.
You like that segue? All right. This, if Midnight Train to Georgia did not exist, this song 3, Storms of Troubled Times, would be my favorite song on the album. It is already one of my favorite songs of the 70s. But this would be my favorite song. It just so happens that it's on the same album as Midnight Train to Georgia.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with you. This song is like the ugly girl Destiny's Child.
No. You got Beyonce, who's the star. Then you got the second one, and then the ugly girl.
Well,
this is the second one. This ain't the ugly girl. This is the second one.
That's just it. There is no ugly girl. And
okay.
You can be just fine.
Okay. But it's not Beyonce. It's the second girl. All right. But it is, man. This song, whether it's, to me, the way I describe this song is, this is Gladys and the Pips going to church. Okay? This is, right? Do you hear that? This is them going to church.
Absolutely. And what I love about this song, though it sounds dated, I love it because, and I say dated, but that's not a bad thing because to have the sound of 70s R&B, even today in the 21st century, if I could crank out the sound of 70s R&B, that's a great thing. That's not dated. That's like saying, oh, your songs sound like Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind & Fire, or that sounds like the Last Night album. Thank you. That is all straight compliment. So for me to say
I get that. I was about to go on the attack.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, that is not a bad thing. 70s R&B sound is not a bad thing whatsoever.
Okay, I'll forgive you for that. But the crazy thing about this is because there is like a saccharine sweet orchestra build to it, right?
Yeah.
But it's got some nasty Memphis touches in it, man. Remember we talked about Otis and Carla Thomas like playing in a dive bar on the Chitlin circuit?
Oh, yeah. And it makes sense because Gladys Knight and the Pips, they came up the same way. Like when they...
Dirty South, man.
Oh, and back in the day when they were doing their residency at Apollo, it was like their crucible, man. 8 hours a day.
Right. And so that's what I'm getting here. And this is a song... It wasn't one of their top 10 hits, which I'm shocked by. They could have released this as a single.
Yeah.
If this would have been the follow-up to Midnight Train to Georgia, I guarantee you this album would have had 4 top 10 hits in it.
True.
I really believe that. And to me, and most of this show, we're going to talk about Gladys and how great she is. We're going to talk about the Pips a little bit, but I really think the Pips shine here. It's one of those things where Gladys has that powerful voice. You're not gonna overtake her or overshadow her, but the Pips just add those accents.
Yeah.
You know,
With the less is more.
right? And I don't know. I hope that if anybody's listening to this show, they go out of their way to go find this on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever their output is.
Record store, something.
Something. Listen to Storms of Troubled Times and tell me that this song wasn't a hit that just was never released as a single. I can't think of another reason why this song wasn't a hit. By far, one of my favorite songs. And again, written by Jim Weatherly. Okay?
Yep.
I'm telling you, man, he just put everything together on this album.
Yeah,
man.
he was on point here.
Okay, so let's move on to another song written by Jim Everly. Song number 4, The Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me. This was another top 10 hit, reached number 3. And again, I don't remember this song on the radio.
Yeah, I don't remember ever hearing it growing up either.
You know, like number 3, Ken, like a lot of songs hit number 3. Didn't even hit number 3 that we've heard our whole lives. They just keep. Now, let me ask you that. So, on one side of one album, there's 3 top 10 hits. And they're all actually top 5 hits.
Yeah.
A number 1, a number 3, and a number 4. Why doesn't it have the staying power? Because they're great songs.
Yeah.
We both love them.
Yeah. And first thing I'm thinking, I don't think we've covered an album so far that had that type of a side one.
It's because most of our albums have been rock albums, man.
Yeah. And then second, I'm sitting here, not necessarily questioning my childhood, but having to go back and I'm like, wow, I'm going to sit down with my parents and ask them, hey, Mom, Dad, y'all remember these songs? Because Baby Ken does not recall these songs.
Right.
Clearly they were played on the radio, and clearly we were listening to the station that was playing these songs.
Right. That's what I'm getting at, is
Yeah.
that it's interesting because you know I love music. And you know I've listened to a lot of music. A lot of
That's why
music
we're
when I
here.
was living with you, when I was your roommate.
Yep.
Okay? When I'd be like, Ken, stop. You got to hear this song. Sometimes you're like, man, that song's trash. Sometimes you're like, ooh, I like that. Let me grab my guitar so I can figure it out so I
Yeah.
can play it someday. Right? It's happened.
Yeah.
This is one of those songs where if Midnight Train to Georgia was not on this album and you put songs number 2, 3, and 4, this is already a great side.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You,
yeah.
you see where I'm coming from?
Oh, yeah.
It would be an iconic side just with those 3, and then the next song we're going to talk about.
This song is such a happy song. It's touching. This song, hey, makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
Like tears of joy, my friend.
I couldn't agree with you more. Another epic song on this first fantastic side. So let's finish the side off with song number 5, Once in a Lifetime Thing. Now, Ken, I'm surprised they didn't release this as a single because one of their biggest hits of all time was Neither One of Us Wants to Be the First to Say Goodbye.
Yep.
This might as well be Neither One of Us Part 2. It's the same song.
Hey, you try to capture lightning in a bottle twice, my friend. Yeah.
But it's such a great song.
Yeah.
I like the original. I like Neither One of Us. And I love this one as well.
Yes.
I mean, the only thing is, it's a criticism, is that it borderlines on maudlin, right? It has that harp on there, that lush orchestra. There's a little bit of a saccharine candy floss vibe to it.
Yeah. Now, this song does it. I'm not going to lie. It tugs at my heartstrings the way they threw down. And you're right. It is slightly overproduced. But if you think about it, during this period of time, early mid 70s, this is where R&B was beginning to shift. You know, if you think about the soundtracks that were coming out, Shaft,
Right.
Trouble Man, and whatnot. So this is where music was heading. However, because again, like you mentioned earlier, they came from the organic Dirty South. I said it, right? So they were still about having a band, looking at the players in the eye and being grounded, organic with their music.
Right. And I'm not trying to put the song down because it's
Oh
a
yeah,
great song.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
just caps off one of the greatest album sides of all time.
True.
Okay, but there, in the intro, and when I say it sounds like neither one of us, I'm not talking about the intro because the intro uses a lot of early '70s R&B tricks, right?
Yeah, the cliches, if you will.
The cliches. It has that fuzz guitar, right? Is that what that is?
With the tremolo going, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Has that going on. It has the big background vocals, right? And then it just cuts off, and then it's Gladys. You can just picture the scene with the spotlight on her in
Yeah,
a
like
smoky
a
room.
colored spotlight of red or something. Yeah.
Everyone else is in the background, and she's just doing that featured vocal performance.
Like on a TV special.
Something,
Yeah.
But to me, the way I look at it is this is exhibit number 152, right? I just made that number out there of how Gladys can do no wrong.
Yeah, water, walking on it.
You know,
Truth.
I think that's a good way of putting it. But when I look at Jim Weatherly writing a song like this, do you think that he just listened to neither one of us and said, "Okay, I'm going to rewrite it"? I don't even know if he wrote that song,
Yeah.
the hit.
Yeah. Considering and after listening to Midnight Plane to Houston, my friend, I don't think he allowed, and this is just me right here, sitting here. I don't think he necessarily allowed the history to influence his present. Because again, if we were to sit down or get a copy of him playing this song after he wrote it, again, yeah, I don't think we'd be impressed, but I still marvel at Gladys and her team. Like I said before, the fact that they're able to see these diamonds in the rough and just make masterpieces of them.
I think I see where you're coming from with that.
You
Now, to wrap up side one, just to make sure, right? I'm not crazy. I'm not full of hyperbole here when I say it is one of the greatest album sides I've ever heard.
Skies blue, water's wet. These are all facts, my friend.
Okay, it's a fact.
You're spot on.
Okay, just wanted to make sure about that.
If anyone disagrees, I would recommend they listen to this album, and yes, they will agree.
Okay, so let's move on, and we're going to go to side two now. And Ken, if you thought we were done with the top 40 hits on this album, you were wrong.
Yes.
Because on side two, the opening track, Where Peaceful Waters Flow, was a top 30 hit, top 5 R&B hit. 4 top 5 R&B hits, 4 top 40 hits.
Nice.
And again, Gladys is killing it. I mean, this is a song that you and I had just listened to before we started recording, right?
Yep.
And Gladys just keeps adding to her resume.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, because when we discuss great singers, I always make the reference. You can hand them a Denny's menu, a diner menu, and they can sing that, and you're going to sit and listen. This song is case in point. I'm like, oh my goodness, this woman could sing. Hey, Ken, go play in traffic right now, and I'd walk out the door in the middle of the road.
I like to call this going to church part 2. Okay, after storms of troubled times.
Yes.
I'm surprised that somebody hasn't revisited this song. We've heard so many songs from the 70s revisited by, contemporary artists.
Or this album, because I haven't said it enough, but this album, inspiring, my friend.
Yes. Makes you want to go out and hug people, even though we're not allowed to right now.
Yeah. But this album makes you want to seek out the best in people.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. There's that positivity. Even the love songs, they're all positive.
Yes, and I love it. It's definitely needed right now.
No, I agree. And what I like about this song musically is that you have the guitar playing off the piano. Okay, so we keep hearing these songs where that guitar is creeping in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like she's going to church, Glass is there, but then they're going to throw in a little nasty, like I said, nasty guitar.
Oh yeah, this was definitely a tight session, man. I wish we knew who they were. If anyone out there knows, please enlighten us, because They were tight. This production on point.
Okay, now, so Ken, this is kind of where it's not where my praise of the album ends, but it's the end of where I say this is a classic album.
I feel you on
Okay.
that. Yeah.
First 6 songs of this album, nearly flawless.
Do no wrong. Yep.
No wrong. But then on the next song, song number 2 on side 2, track number 7, a cover of Johnny Nash's I Can See Clearly Now.
Yeah.
And this one, they were specifically going for the gospel feel, that church feel in the intro. And someone made the decision. Gladys Knight is sitting there in the corner. And someone made the decision, hey, let's have someone besides Gladys Knight sing a song on this album. And all I could think to myself is, why? One, why cover this song? You were doing so great with the songs you had picked. And then problem number 2, why did you have someone not named Gladys Knight sing this song when she is the one who should be singing every song on this album?
Yeah, but I get it. I get it. Because again, you got to remember, man, as prolific as they were, that was how they performed. And so for Gladys to be able to take a break and have a breather, I get it. They did it live and they transferred it to the studio.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Okay.
And when you listen to this one and the original, they both have that like Caribbean vibe.
Yeah, well, because Nash, from
Right.
the Caribbean.
Okay. But here's my problem. I had already retired the original. I don't care if I ever hear this song again in my life.
True.
I'm done.
Yeah. And
I
then-
appreciate it. Big hit. Some kid somewhere. I mean, I doubt some kid because they're not listening to this stuff. But somebody somewhere is going to discover the original and say, ooh, I think I like that song.
Yeah, no, I feel you, and I agree with you on that. And I could see how, again, having to remove myself as I listen to this album, or else I never would have got past track 1, side 1.
Right.
And saying to myself, okay, I could see when they were compiling this album and choosing the tracks for it. Yeah, this is
A huge hit.
and it's a positive song.
That's true.
So it
That's
fits in with this album.
It does fit in with the theme. You're absolutely right about that. But to me, the rule is if the song doesn't improve enough on the original or is unique enough, kind of like Stevie Wonder's We Can Work It Out.
Yeah, to where it's like, oh, okay, I'm glad you did this.
Right.
Leave it alone.
So we talked about neither one of us, right?
Yeah.
Now, earlier in Gladys's career, okay, I think it was 1971 or 72, one of her albums, I can't think of the album name right now. She did a cover of the Beatles' Let It Be. I let you listen to that.
Yes, and that was...
And that's hard, man. That's Paul McCartney, the greatest songwriter of all time.
And I bet when he heard it, he slapped... Well, not slapped his mama, but he stopped what he was doing and is like, wow, thank you, Gladys. That's how this song should be performed.
I like how you said he was going to slap his mama when
And
the
I
song
realized
is about his mama. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, my point being is, if they would have put that Let It Be cover on this album, which is still another nice, uplifting, church-sounding song,
Yeah.
right? Classic. But they did this. And this did not improve upon the original enough for me to unretire this song.
No, you're right. And yeah, I would say fodder. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. This is the first clear misstep on the album. I understand your point about it fitting in with the theme. They could have chosen one, a song that I'm not so damn tired of, but two, they should have had Gladys singing no matter what.
I'll agree with you on one. I'm gonna support Gladys though on your number 2.
Well, okay. Here's why I'm going to disagree with you. Song number 3 on side 2, Perfect Love.
Yeah.
All right. This is sung by another one of the Pips. I don't know which one.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all family.
Yeah,
Okay.
They're all family. Right. They're all part of that family. Again, Gladys not singing. But this song,
She's harmonizing. Yeah.
she's harming. Okay. But it's Gladys Knight. So if you want to have a song that you didn't write or that you brought a songwriter in for, okay, this is a perfectly great song to do that with, right? This was a really good song.
Yeah.
Perfect Love, incidentally written by classic 70s songwriter Paul Williams. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I know Paul Williams from the Muppet movie.
First thing popped my head, Smoking the Bandit.
Okay. And that just shows our age because
Yeah,
anybody,
definitely.
I'd say 35 and younger, has no idea
No
what we're
clue
talking about.
who he is. Yeah.
Okay. But Paul Williams, he wrote songs for a ton of people. He wrote songs for Three Dog Night, huge in the 70s. The
Yep.
Carpenters, who were huge. Barbra Streisand, the bane of my existence. Anyway, whatever. But you know what I did not know? That he wrote the theme to The Love Boat.
Yes.
I had no idea.
Oh, don't get me. I can sing that song right now, but I'm not going to.
And another product from our childhood, Emmett Otter's Jug
The
Band
Band
Christmas. Yes,
Booyah.
that's Paul Williams, man. And so Paul Williams has some songwriting chops. And look, personally, I think this would have fit better if like a band like Dr. Hook, who had like a lot of soft rock hits in
Yeah.
the 70s, would have
Yeah.
covered this. I have no problem with the Pips covering it. I really don't. I think that if any other R&B band had covered this song, the Dramatics, the
Oh, yeah.
Stylistics,
Any-
the Shy Lights,
from that time?
the Spinners,
Totally would have been a top 5 hit.
been a top 5 hit,
Easy.
you know. Or if Gladys would have sang this song, it would have added another top 5, top 40 hit to this one album.
Yeah, true.
You see where I'm coming from? I really do. The songwriting is there, okay? But I really wish that they would have just said, look, we'll let the Pips sing in concert, but on the album, we're going to let Gladys take over because that's where the money's at. Somebody's so concerned about money and talking about artists getting paid. How you going to let anybody but Gladys Knight sing on your album, man? Come on, feature, lead vocal.
Well, no, again, I still stand by. I still support it. I feel you, but I also understand, man. She has to open it up to the rest of the family. She has to because they're there,
Egos, right? You got to make sure that their egos don't get wounded.
Everyone has to grow. Everyone has to grow.
They didn't write the song. It wasn't like they were getting songwriting credits. You know what I mean?
True, but hey, I love the fact that even as we debate this, the fact that they said, you know what? We're going to take this song. Yeah, you don't normally write songs for R&B groups, Paul, but guess what? We're taking this song, and now Gladys isn't going to sing it. Hey, the Cats, they're going to sing it. By Cats, I mean the Pips. They're going to sing it. So completely pushing boundaries. And I love that fact because true artists, they push boundaries. Whether we agree with it or not is irrelevant. The fact that they're pushing those boundaries is what counts.
But you know who heard this album and said, damn, why isn't Gladys singing on this album? Paul Williams, because he said, damn, this could have been a hit if Gladys was singing it. Okay? Paul Williams, the man who wrote this song, probably said, man, I really wish Gladys would have sang my song. Karen Carpenter sings my songs.
Yeah.
Barbra Streisand sings my songs. Why don't Gladys want to sing one of my songs?
Yeah, he's crying himself to sleep on his money pillow. He'll be
Exactly.
all right.
With his little Muppets sitting next to him and his Smokey and the Bandit hat. Anyway, I don't even know if he had that in that movie. But that's not the point. But now, and to your point, though, from earlier, the theme of the album. Talk about positivity. Once in a lifetime, perfect love, the best thing that ever happened to me. There is that clear theme. Like they knew what they were doing on this album and compiling these songs. There's none of those sad songs or breakups. We've heard Gladys when she don't want her man no more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a song on I want to say it's on the Neither One of Us album. There's a song called Can't Give It Up No More.
Yeah.
And that might as well have been I Will Survive. I don't need a man. I don't want you. I don't want you in my heart. I don't know if she was going through a divorce at the time, but you don't hear those songs on this album.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but really, it does fit in with the theme. And I don't even think it's a bad song, even with one of the Pips singing.
Oh, absolutely.
I just think it would have been a classic with Gladys singing.
And I agree with you as far as if any of the other male bands of the groups of the 70s would have sang this song.
Right.
Out of the park.
Okay. Well, let's go to the final song on the album. And this is not one of my favorite songs on the album. But this would be where I would support your argument. Hey, we need the Pips to sing featured songs on the album to play in concert. Right?
Yeah.
This would be it. Why? One, because they wrote the thing. Okay, this is written by Gladys and the Pips.
Yeah.
And this is Window Raising Granny. Okay, and so I would support you on that. Hey, let the Pips sing this 7-minute song so Gladys can go off to the side of the stage, get her a glass of water, right?
Yep.
Relax a little bit. Let the Pips take over. Let the guitar player jam out a little bit. Let her relax. This is the song. Has that really up-driving beat to it.
Yeah, you can definitely 7 minutes. You can definitely hear how this was their live song. This was the track that they stretched their legs out on. And
I really want to see, but this would be the song that supports what you were saying earlier when you were defending that horrible decision to let anybody but Gladys sing on the album. Okay?
yeah,
I really believe that. That for this song though, the horns are on point, the piano's on point, the guitar playing. Ken, you are a guitar player.
oh yeah.
Speak about this guitar player
Oh,
going
my-
off on this song.
It was beautiful because as a guitarist, what I think of is to play lyrically and musically.
Right.
And this cat is on point the entire time. Everything else is going on around him. And you hear his solo. It's there. It's not overpowering. It's not overbearing. It is tasty the whole way through.
I think you're right. And to me, you and I have talked about Ernie Isley, right?
Yes.
And it has that I know it's not in. They're not influenced by Ernie Isley here because Ernie Isley hadn't broken out yet. Okay, but it has that vibe to it. Would you
Yeah.
disagree? I mean, you know him
Yeah.
better than
No,
I do.
I'm going to give you that because the music's going and he's dancing, or not necessarily dancing, but
Grooving.
grooving, sailing, gliding, floating
Right.
on top of it. And like I said, so it's lyrical, like water. It just moves along
Right.
with it, and there's nothing wrong.
And
Coming in.
when I say that, I'm not talking about the specific guitar sound
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you hear on Who's That Lady. I'm talking more about just that
vibe
flow,
and the
that
feel.
that flow.
Yeah, and it just flows with it.
Right. And again, like every song, I would say it's always going to be better if Gladys is singing. But I'm not mad at them for having them. Now, the problem I have with this song is lyrically, they get too wordy, man. They're trying to make complex sentences instead of like spinning. I like the theme, right? When
Oh yeah,
you have, because
absolutely.
they have this grandma who's in a wheelchair, just looking out, yelling at the kids playing in the ground. So,
Keeping them straight. Yep.
right? And when grandma yells at you, you better come inside to eat.
Oh yeah, you come correct, or otherwise, yeah.
But she's on the 3rd floor in a wheelchair. What's she going to do?
Hey man, that fear is real.
I think I can respect it, man. And to be honest with you, man, both of my grandmothers were dead before I was even born, or right when I was born. You know, I didn't know either grandmother. So I never had that understanding.
Man.
But I know the feeling. You know, I've
Yeah.
seen
Yeah,
enough
'cause
movies.
I had that, man. My grandmother was 5 feet tall. She's a little midget. Also carried a knife. But hey, say jump. Man, if she were alive right now, I'm a huge man, and I would still jump if she said jump.
I've seen you jump when your mama
Yeah,
calls. Come on.
exactly. Same thing, man.
Right. And so, anyway, I get it. I respect the song. Okay. I like the theme. It's different, right?
Yeah.
It's different from anything else on the album, talking about your poor crippled grandmother just yelling at you.
Laying down the law. Yep.
And so I like that it takes you back to that place, like when the kids in the neighborhood are up to no good out there and she's just looking at everything. You know, and so I really like the theme of the song. Musically, like I said, again, not my favorite song, but I really like the guitar playing on this.
This was definitely the song to close the album with.
I agree with you there. It's a different sound than the rest of the album, but it rocks a little bit more. It drives a little bit more. It's up tempo.
Yeah, I listened to this song. Yeah, it's 7 minutes, but it takes me somewhere, and I can say, okay, when this song is over, I could see myself taking the needle off the album, taking the album off the turntable, and saying, all right, this journey is complete.
Right. I think we'll wrap up there. I think I agree with you. So before we end this recording here, Ken, we can't ask what's our favorite song on the album Because it's Midnight Train to Georgia.
Yeah, no, that's a given.
What's your second favorite song on the album?
Wow. If I had to pick a second favorite, it would be Storms of Troubled Times.
And that is also mine, man. I really believe that they messed up by not releasing this as a single. This should be a song that's played on the radio today. Not on contemporary radio, but like oldie stations or R&B stations. I'm really shocked that this isn't more well known. I'm surprised I haven't heard it in a movie.
Yeah.
You know, I really am. I mean, I think that I love Gladys Knight so much. I wouldn't mind if all movies had like Gladys Knight soundtracks.
And you know, something you'd mentioned earlier today, and I agree with you. If you're going to remake a song, you need to change it, improve on it, make it different from the original. And I think that's why we don't hear very many Gladys Knight and the Pips songs being remade, because how are you going to make it better?
Yeah, but
you could change it, but you're not going to make it better.
Yeah, but there are a lot of artists who've tried to remake a lot of great songs, you know, poorly.
Yeah, and
because of that ego.
Yeah, and I'm glad that people have said, you know what, we're not going to attempt that with Gladys and the Pips. We will.
But to be fair, Ken, you and I know a lot of music. A lot of music.
Yes.
And we just discovered these Gladys Knight albums.
Yeah.
I just don't think people were listening to her albums the way that they listened to the singles.
Fair enough. I agree with you
I
on
think
that.
that's more of what's going on, is that when we talk about Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, AC/DC, whoever, people are listening to the albums.
Yeah.
Okay? They know the albums. They know the order of the songs on the albums. They're not doing that with Gladys Knight. You and I just discovered this album, and we thought we discovered gold.
Yeah,
man.
and you're right. We religiously listen to music.
This
is what we do.
So I think that's more of it. So we talked about our favorite song and our second favorite song, least favorite song.
I'm not going to count I Can See Clearly Now, because it's... Okay, yeah.
Okay, well, then let's make it simple. I Can See Clearly Now is by far the least effective, unlistenable song on the
album. Yeah, and I can't...
Okay,
yeah.
so what's number two?
Number two would have been Window Raising Granny.
And that's mine as well. See, Ken, we got that cosmic connection going on, man.
Yeah, it's a great album. And listening to this album, I would love to hear from Gladys or any of the Pips who were on this album, because I listen to it now, right, 40, almost 50 years later, and I think that they're probably proud of this album, because it is so
I would hope so.
inspirational.
I mean, it sold a lot of records, man.
But like how we've talked about it leading up to this and listening to this album over and over, this album is uplifting and inspirational. And if anything, right now in the 21st century, that is what is needed in this world. And the fact that that's universal.
Right.
You know, the universal message. And that 40, almost 50 years ago, they put that down. I mean, this album order, this was intentional. They intentionally sought that out. And you have to love that.
No, I think I agree with you. For me, when I called you, I said, look, Ken, I just listened to side one of this album. This is one of the greatest albums I've ever heard in my life. I was saying it was one of the greatest albums just listening to one side. It's one of the greatest album sides. Side one is one of the greatest album sides.
Yeah.
Greatest albums. Side two dips too much for me to call it one of the greatest albums of all time. But still a great album.
Yeah.
Because side one is so powerful. Side two is good. Window Raising Granny, which I kind of like. Yeah. It's a little too long. 6 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever it is. I like Perfect Love, you know. It's just that side one is like iconic and side two isn't. And I think that's the only shortcoming and the only real criticism I can put forward on this album.
Yeah, and I can't knock you on that. Side one, larger than life. Side two is human.
Is human, yeah. And you know why? Because I said it all throughout the show. Because Gladys wasn't singing the songs, man. Guarantee you put Gladys on the songs, you and I'd be like, ooh, I like this. You know it's true.
Yeah, I can't fight you on that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to take away from this is thank God for Gladys Knight, and thank God that I called you and said, Ken, you have to listen to this album.
Yes, it has definitely improved my life.
Good. And I hope the people out there that are listening, I hope that you also take the time to listen to this album. And I hope you get something out of it, because I was shocked at how much I love this album. And I know Ken was also shocked. So go listen to the album. Please give us your feedback. Give us your comments. If you like the show, hit like. If you enjoy what we do here week in and week out, hit subscribe. And until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.